5 mistakes that can cost novice developers tens of thousands of pounds on a plot, if not identified early. If you're trying to buy a building plot right now, I can almost guarantee you're about to make at least one of 5 mistakes that cost novice developers thousands of pounds when they first start. I know because I made most of them myself, and one of them cost me £1 million by missing a plot because I did not know how the system works. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through all 5, using real examples from 20 years of buying land so you don't repeat them. Quick bit of context so you know this isn't theory. I've personally built over £17 million of property over the last 2 decades, but I started exactly where a lot of you are now, refreshing Rightmove every morning with no idea how to value land or read planning risk. So everything I'm covering today is from real deals, real mistakes, and real money on the line. The first mistake is trusting the wrong advice. Early in my career, a friend recommended an architect he described as outstanding, so I engaged him. He gave me planning advice that was completely unrealistic and unachievable, and needless to say, the planning application was turned down instantly. I paid him £10,000 in 2005 for guidance that was completely wrong. Bad advice from the wrong professional who isn't a specialist or planning consultant can cost you tens of thousands of pounds, so beware. The second mistake is buying with hope value priced in. Hope value is when a landowner inflates the price of their land based on assumed planning potential that hasn't actually been proven. This happens all the time. On a typical plot, an educated buyer who understands the system can save tens of thousands of pounds by having the skills to dismiss irrelevant landowner claims and valuing the land correctly. That can break down into savings of 20 to 30% on the plot price itself and thousands in unnecessary architect fees and unnecessary survey fees. The third mistake is only looking on Rightmove and Zoopla. By the time a plot reaches those portals, developers have already secured the good ones off market. What's left is overpriced and unprofitable. There's a myth that there are no plots near you. I promise you plots exist almost everywhere. You just never see them because they get bought before they're ever listed publicly. The fourth mistake is ignoring planning history, land designations, and high-level constraints. You need to check things like greenbelt status, conservation areas, listed buildings, tree preservation orders, and Article 4 directions before you commit any money. I learned this the hard way on my first plot. It had a lot of issues, including a possessory strip, a tree preservation order, an easement, and boundary issues. It was like doing an MBA in development. It took 12 months, but we secured planning permission for 3 houses at the rear of the site. But you should always be aware that hidden constraints can turn a dream plot into a financial trap if you don't know what to look for. The fifth mistake is spending money on surveys and architects before the deal is actually secure. You should only activate architect and surveyor fees once a deal is secured, not before. This alone typically saves £8,000 to £20,000 per plot. However, when you get this right, the numbers can be life-changing. My most profitable development made 1.6 million in profit, but my first ever development was a house with a large garden. I secured that plot for nothing and sold it 11 years later for £580,000 against a build cost of £130,000. That's a £450,000 profit, purely from knowing what I've just shared with you. Now here's where I want your help. Comment below and tell me which of these 5 mistakes you've already made, or nearly made. I read all of the comments, and I'll personally reply with guidance on your specific situation if I can help. And if you're actively looking for a plot right now and want a second pair of eyes on it, drop the word plot in the comments and I'll tell you how to get a free site appraisal from me directly. If this saved you from even one of these mistakes, subscribe. I break down real plots, real numbers, and real planning risk every week. See you in the next one.